Picture this. Two people walk into the same room. Same meeting. Same table. Same chance to speak. One of them opens their mouth, and the room goes quiet. People lean in. They listen. When he finishes, someone nods and says exactly. The other person speaks and gets talked over before he even finishes his sentence. Nobody attacks him. Nobody argues with him. Something worse happens. He just gets skipped. I know that feeling. Not because someone told me about it. Because I lived it for years. That specific, quiet humiliation of saying something in a group and watching the conversation move on like you were never there. Not attacked. Not remembered enough to attack. Just erased. In real time. And here's what I did wrong for years trying to fix it. I got louder. I interrupted back. I pushed harder. I took up more space by force. And you know what happened? Nothing changed. Because loud does not command a room. Loud just announces that you are desperate to be heard. And desperation is the one thing that makes people respect you less, not more. Real respect does not come from volume. It comes from 7 specific moves that almost nobody knows about. And here is what I need you to understand before we get into them. These are not comeback lines. These are not tricks you memorize for the next time someone embarrasses you. These are behavioral shifts. And once they become part of how you exist in a room, disrespect stops landing the way it used to. But stay until move 5. Because move 5 is not a tactic. It is a switch. And once it flips, disrespect does not provoke you anymore. It just notifies the other person they made a mistake. Let's get into move 1. Number 1. The apology that was never yours to give. Have you ever noticed how fast the word sorry leaves your mouth when someone else bumps into you? Not them. You. They walk into your shoulder in a hallway, and somehow you are the one apologizing. Most people write this off as manners. It is not manners. It is a reflex trained into you by something called the spotlight effect. The false belief that everyone around you is watching and judging your every move as closely as you judge yourself. Research on this is almost funny once you see it. People wildly overestimate how much others notice their mistakes, their pauses, their awkward moments. Nobody is running the tape back on you tonight. They are too busy running their own. So here's what that means in a meeting. A coworker interrupts you mid-sentence. Most people smooth it over immediately. No, you go ahead, sorry. That is exactly what you do not want to do. Socially calibrated people do something almost uncomfortable by comparison. They let a beat of silence sit. Then they finish their original sentence, flat, unbothered, like the interruption barely registered. That is it. One pause. One flat repeat. No apology required, because nothing happened that needed one. But silence only works if your face agrees with it. You can hold the pause perfectly and still lose the room, because your face is talking even when you are not. Move 2 is where most men get caught without even knowing it. Number 2. The face that gives you away before you speak. Nobody is going to tell you this directly. So I will. Your face betrays you before you say a single word. Someone throws a joking insult your way, and for a fraction of a second, before you even decide how to respond, your face already answered for you. A flinch. A too fast smile. Eyebrows that jump. Researchers studying the amygdala hijack, that split-second flood of threat response before the thinking part of your brain catches up, found that this leakage happens in milliseconds. You cannot outthink it. You can only train around it. Picture this. 2 guys get the same joking dig at a bar. One laughs a half-second too quickly, eyes darting, already backpedaling. The other's face does not move at all. Same insult. Completely different room reaction, because one face said, "That landed," and the other said nothing landed at all. Most people smile to defuse tension the second it appears. It feels safer in the moment. But that instant smile is a signal, and the signal says I need this to be okay. Respected people let their face stay neutral just long enough for the gap to become visible, and let the other person sit in it. Try this the next time it happens. Before you react at all, hold still for 3 full seconds. Neutral face. No flinch, no laugh, no defense. That is the neutral hold. Move 3 takes this neutral hold and turns it into something people can actually feel in their chest. Number 3. The 2-second delay that rewires how people talk to you. Picture this. You are mid-sentence, making your point, and someone cuts you off. Most people's instinct is to speed up. Talk faster, louder, push the words out before they get buried completely. That is exactly what you do not want to do, because speed reads as panic and panic reads as low status. Robert Cialdini's research on authority cues found something counterintuitive. The people we perceive as most in control are consistently the ones who slow down under pressure, not the ones who race to reclaim the floor. Think of it like traffic. The driver who slams the horn the instant someone cuts them off looks rattled. The driver who eases off, waits a beat, then continues smoothly looks like nothing happened at all. Same road, completely different presence. I want you to think about the last time you watched someone get interrupted in a pitch or a meeting. A client cuts in mid-sentence. The nervous presenter rushes to talk over them. But the composed one does something different. He lets the interruption finish completely, pauses 2 full seconds, and then re-enters the conversation exactly where he left off, unhurried. Watch a room in that moment. Attention snaps back to him, not the interrupter. Do this with me right now, even just in your head. Someone talks over you tomorrow. Count 2 seconds. Then continue. That is it. 2 seconds rewires the entire dynamic. But that only handles what happens once. What happens when the disrespect is not a single moment? When the same person keeps testing you, again and again. Move 4 is where that gets solved. Number 4. The boundary you set without saying a word. Not every disrespect is a single moment. Some people test you again and again, and no neutral face fixes that on its own. Most people handle repeated disrespect by explaining themselves. Hey, I did not love that joke. Can you not do that? Warning shots, spoken out loud, hoping the other person adjusts. Respected people rarely do this. Instead, they demonstrate the boundary through something quieter, a consistent, silent withdrawal of access. Less texting back immediately. Fewer invitations extended. Less of you available to someone who has shown you what they do with it. James Clear's work on identity-based change explains why this works better than confrontation. A boundary you announce is a rule someone can argue with. A boundary you simply live is not up for debate, because it is not a policy. It is who you have already become. Think about the friend who constantly jokes at your expense, the kind everyone laughs off as just how he is. Most guys keep showing up the same amount, hoping the behavior changes on its own. It never does. The other path looks almost invisible from the outside. You just start being around less. No speech. No ultimatum. Just less of you. What I am about to show you in move 5 is going to feel wrong at first, because it means doing less, not more. Number 5. The habit that makes disrespect physically uncomfortable for them. This is the one I told you about at the start. Here is what nobody tells you about discomfort. You have spent your whole life treating it like something you have to absorb the moment disrespect happens. Big mistake. Huge. Because discomfort is not a weight you carry. It is a signal you can transfer, and most men never learn how. There is a reason for this, and it comes down to mirror neurons, the part of your brain that automatically simulates the emotional state of whoever you are looking at. When you stay calm and silent after being disrespected, the other person's brain does not get the reaction it was expecting. There is nothing to mirror, and unreciprocated tension does not just disappear. It sits there, unresolved, and it becomes their problem to manage, not yours. Picture a dinner table. Someone makes a jab at your expense, the kind meant to get a laugh. Most people rush to fill the silence that follows, a nervous laugh, a defensive comeback, anything to relieve the pressure. That is exactly what lets them off the hook. The socially intelligent person does the opposite. He says nothing. He holds eye contact. He lets the joke teller sit there finishing a sentence he is already regretting, with no rescue coming. That is the whole habit. Silence. Eye contact. Let them finish what they started. Here is the thing nobody asks. What happens when disrespect is not one comment, but a pattern? A single moment you can absorb. A pattern is different. A pattern requires something the last 4 moves never touched. That was about protecting your space. But there is something even more powerful, what you do the moment they actually notice. Number 6. The moment they realize they miscalculated you. There is a specific moment every man who has ever felt overlooked is waiting for, whether he admits it or not. It is the moment someone recalibrates. Most people wait for an apology to feel vindicated. You do not need one. Psychologists point to something close to the Dunning-Kruger effect here. The person disrespecting you is not running on malice most of the time. He was running on an outdated model of who you are, one that never updated because you never gave him a reason to. The shift in his behavior is the apology. It just does not come with words attached. I want you to think about the coworker who used to talk over you in meetings. Weeks pass. The pattern shifts. Suddenly, he is the one asking your opinion before making a call, pausing when you speak, quoting you in front of other people. Nobody announced this. Nothing was said out loud. His model of you simply updated, quietly, in the background, based on everything you have done up to this point. Here is what actually matters in that moment. Do not gloat. Do not bring up the old behavior. Receive the shift the same way you received the disrespect. Evenly, without a reaction that gives away how much it meant to you. That is what cements it permanently. Move 7 is the one that makes sure this never has to happen again. Number 7. The move that makes you undisrespectable long-term. Here is something most people get completely wrong about respect. They think it is earned in moments, a great comeback, a perfect pause, one unforgettable interaction that changes everything. It is not. Respect is boring. Respect is repetition. Research linking predictability to perceived status shows something most men never consider. People trust and elevate those whose behavior they can reliably forecast. Every time you hold a boundary you already set, your brain and there's release a small hit of oxytocin, the same trust chemical involved in bonding. Consistency is not just a personality trait here. It is a chemical signal you are sending every single day, whether you realize it or not. Picture two versions of the same man, 1 year from now. Version 1 had a great month. He held the boundary, stayed neutral, let silence do its work, and then, under enough pressure, reverted back to old habits the second it got uncomfortable. Version 2 did the unimpressive thing. He just never contradicted the standard he already set. No big moments. No highlight reel. Just the same behavior, over and over, until nobody in his life questions it anymore. That is the whole move. Never renegotiate a boundary you have already demonstrated. Not when they push. Not when it is inconvenient. Not once. This is not about a moment anymore. It is about who you have become, and that is exactly where we are going next. You don't defend respect, you radiate it. Here is the thing nobody tells you at the start of a video like this. These 7 moves were never meant to stay moves. This is not about what you do in any single interaction. It is about who you are becoming across all of them. The neutral face, the 2-second pause, the silence that makes someone else uncomfortable. None of that is a tactic you pull out when disrespected. Eventually, it just becomes how you exist in a room. You stop performing respect and start radiating it, without thinking about which move you are on. So here is your actual assignment, and it is smaller than you think. Do not try all 7 this week. Pick the one that felt hardest to read just now, the one your stomach reacted to a little. That is the one you are avoiding for a reason. Practice that single one, deliberately, the next time it comes up. Comment which move hit hardest, not the one you already do, the one you have never actually done. I read every one of them, and I want to know exactly where you are stuck. And if this gave you language for something you have felt for years but never had words for, subscribe. Because every single week, I break down the exact psychology powerful, respected men use without ever raising their voice. The quiet mechanics nobody teaches you, laid out one habit at a time. I will see you in the next one.